It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to St. Louis, Missouri to discuss the case of Tesia Akins, who snapped during an argument and ran down on her boyfriend. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads. Stay tuned until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Tesia Akins was a woman who didn't shy away from the spotlight or a confrontation. To those in her circle in St. Louis, she was known as someone with a strong will and a personality that could fill a room. Long before she became a headline for all the wrong reasons, Tasja actually sought a platform to settle her grievances. In 2015, she appeared on the reality court show Judge Mathis. She wasn't there for a minor dispute. She was suing a man she had been dating, alleging he had laid hands on her. He threw the same accusations back to her, but in that arena, Tasja walked away the victor. To the outside world, she appeared as a woman standing up for herself, someone who wouldn't be pushed around. But years later, after the camera stopped rolling and the gavel fell for real, onlookers would begin to question if that televised bravado was a sign of a much more volatile underlying nature. Fast forward to 2018. That's when Tasja was involved with Jerome Robertson, a 35-year-old man described as strong-willed and intense. From court records, it appears their relationship had tension. There were accusations of past physical altercations and threats. According to Tasja, she feared Jerome. According to others, their relationship was volatile. While we don't have a reality show appearance to dissect his every move, the accounts from court records described him as someone capable of deep aggression, someone whose presence could quickly turn a calm afternoon into a shouting match. On February 11, 2018, Jerome wasn't supposed to be a part of the day's plan, yet he ended up in the middle of a storm that neither he nor Tasja would ever escape. The day began with a specific mission. Tasja was working with fellow union members, including organizer Janina Jenkins and Kenta Jackson. They were coordinating transportation during a strike, and Tasja was tasked with driving a passenger van, picking up members, and transporting them to a hotel. But the professional mission took a personal detour. Despite Jerome not being a part of the union, Tasja picked him up. That decision would set the stage for everything that followed. As they drove, tension started building inside the van. Jerome reportedly became upset when Tasja refused to change her route. Words were exchanged. According to Tasja, Jerome slapped her. According to other witnesses, there was yelling and chaos. Tasja pulled into a nearby parking lot, her voice reaching a fever pitch. She called Janina, screaming through the phone that Jerome had spat on her and struck her. She was desperate for backup. Janina, Kenta, and several union members drove to the location. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. Tasja and Jerome were stepping out of the van, the air thick with insults. Tasja was shouting, cursing, her frustration boiling over. At one point, Jerome made an aggressive move toward her, but the others intervened, physically standing between them to prevent a full-blown physical clash. In a final act of petty defiance, Jerome reached into the van, grabbed Tasja's purse, and tossed it onto the roof of the vehicle. The situation was messy, emotional, and heated. Kenta then stepped in and gave Jerome some firm advice: walk away. He told him to head toward the bus stop and go home. Jerome surprisingly listened. He turned his back and began the long walk down Natural Bridge Road. The confrontation appeared to be over. The crowds dispersed. Tasja got back into the driver's seat of the van with Janina in the passenger side. But as Tasja gripped the steering wheel, the adrenaline didn't fade. It curdled into something much darker. As they drove, Tasja's words were chilling. She repeatedly stated how much she hated him, expressing a dark desire to end his life then and there. Then she saw Jerome walking along the shoulder of Natural Bridge Road near St. Louis Lambert International Airport toward the bus stop. In a moment of lethal impulsivity, Tasja didn't just drive past. She accelerated. She stared the heavy passenger van off the pavement and onto the shoulder and struck him. The impact was devastating. Jerome's head hit the windshield. Jerome was thrown into a roadside ditch as the windshield shattered. Tasja didn't stop. She kept driving down the road, leaving Jerome behind. Inside the van, Janina pleaded repeatedly with Tasja to turn around or let her out. Janina immediately called Kenta, crying out that Tasja had done it. She had taken that man's life. Kenta, acting as a voice of authority, ordered Tasja to return to the hotel. Tasja complied, parking the van as if the workday were simply over. But the gravity of the situation began to leak in. Kenta went to the scene and found Jerome in the ditch. Shortly after, Tasja returned to the spot where Jerome was. In a complete 180 shift from her earlier rage, she began trying to help him, sobbing, I'm sorry, I snapped. Sadly, Jerome succumbed to the extensive blunt force injuries. Tasja was taken into custody and faced heavy charges, second-degree hit, and armed criminal action. During the trial, Tasja's defense leaned heavily on her fear. She testified that Jerome had slapped her earlier and threatened to slap the hell out of her later that day, and that she believed he would put his hands on her again. However, the court wasn't buying it. Because Jerome was walking away and was a significant distance from her when the van struck him, the judge refused to even allow the jury to consider a self-defense instruction. The court ruled that fear of something that might happen later is not the same as immediate danger. In January 2020, the jury found her guilty. While the pandemic delayed the finality of the case, in 2022, she was ultimately sentenced to 15 years in prison. Tasja appealed, arguing the jury should have been instructed on self-defense. However, the appellate court disagreed. Her conviction remains in place. May Jerome Robertson continue to rest in peace. I send his family my well wishes. When we look at Tesia Akins, we see the terrifying reality of what happens when snapping meets a 2-ton vehicle. It's a story of a woman who felt she was a victim, yet chose to become a perpetrator in the most permanent way possible. Jerome's actions that day also hold weight in this case. However, by all accounts, the confrontation had ended. Jerome was walking away. Other people were present. Tasja had distance. She had space. She had time to cool off. But instead of letting the moment pass, she acted. Impulsivity can feel powerful in the moment, but the aftermath lasts years, 15 of them in this case. The internet has since looked back on Tasja's Judge Mathis appearance with a skeptical eye. Some commenters suggest she may have been performative even then, playing a part for the cameras. Whether that's true or not, the tragedy on Natural Bridge Road wasn't a performance. Tesia Akins thought she was winning an argument. Instead, she crossed the line, and there's no rewinding it. This story is a reminder of how quickly emotions can escalate and how important it is to walk away when you still have the chance. This is another real-life situation that's not just about conflict, but about control. Fam, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, consider liking and sharing, and subscribe for more stories like this. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.